Revealed, the incredible touching secrets of Neanderthal love life 10 unexpected discoveries. Jamie clutched Ethan's hand tightly as they entered the local library, a sanctuary filled with the scent of old books and promises of stories yet to be told. Her heart raced with hope but was weighed down by the burdens of everyday life. What if the secrets of the Neanderthal love life held the key to her own happiness? As Jamie flipped through the ancient, weathered pages of a dusty book, she discovered more than dusty tales. She discovered whispers of loyalty, strength, and deep-rooted connections. Each word resonated like a heartbeat within her, a reminder that love and survival had defined humanity since the dawn of time. She thought of her own struggles as a single mother, working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. Serving hearty breakfasts to the town's weary workers at the diner before rushing to the community center to teach art. It was a life filled with challenges, yet also honeyed moments with her bright-eyed son. Jamie could feel the weight of her community on her shoulders, their hopes and dreams intertwined with her own. With a determined resolve, she read about Neanderthal families who thrived despite the odds stacked against them. They fought for each other, displayed unwavering loyalty, and found ways to endure. In that quiet library, Jamie felt a spark ignite within her. Perhaps she could do more than just survive, she could thrive. But then came the dilemma. A lucrative job offer in a bustling city loomed over her like a tantalizing beacon of hope. But at what cost? Uprooting Ethan from the familiar warmth of their small town, where neighbors were like family, felt like a betrayal of the very community that had shaped her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tensions in town were palpable. Some whispered support, urging her to chase her dreams, while others saw her ambition as a betrayal of everything they held dear. In a pivotal town hall meeting, voices echoed with raw emotion. Veterans, laborers, and children alike each had concerns about Jamie's future. Would her ambition fracture the bonds of loyalty they had all built? Standing at the podium, Jamie felt the eyes of her community piercing through her. Just as she mustered the strength to speak, a small voice broke through the thick air. It was Ethan, innocence wrapped in curiosity, asking, "Mommy, what are we going to do?" Her breath caught, and for a moment, time stood still. With hearts racing and tensions high, Jamie realized the truth. The love she had read about in the book wasn't just a relic, it lived and breathed in her own life. She could feel her connection to the Neanderthals, to her community, and to Ethan swirling together in a beautiful chaos. Would she shatter their bonds to chase fleeting dreams or hold tight to her history, rooted in love and resilience? Every decision echoed in the silence of her heart, the weight of hope heavy upon her as the world around her seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her answer. As Jamie stood at the podium, a silence enveloped the room. All eyes were on her, pleading for guidance, expecting her to weave hope into the air with every word. She felt Ethan's small hand slip from hers, but she could sense him right behind her, an unwavering presence in her heart. She took a deep breath, her voice fighting to emerge as more than just a whisper. "Everyone, this town, it's not just a backdrop to my life. It's the very fabric of who I am. Every meal I serve, every lesson I teach, is stitched with your stories, your struggles, and your triumphs." Her gaze shifted among the crowd, old friends, curious children, and worn-out faces that had given so much. "When I read about the Neanderthals, I saw something that reminded me of us. They fought for their families. They endured. They loved fiercely, just like we do." A ripple of recognition formed among the crowd. Heads nodded, eyes softened. Jamie carried on, her heart racing, "But I'm also a dreamer. I want to teach Ethan about both love and the courage to chase after our passions. This job offer, it's not just about me. It's about our future, my hope for him. But leaving this community feels like tearing a part of my soul away. Murmurs spread through the audience. She caught sight of Mrs. Thompson, a kind old woman who had once baked cookies for Ethan, now wiping away tears from her wrinkled cheeks. Jamie's pulse quickened. Could she possibly inspire them to understand? What do we do if we want more? Jamie asked, vulnerability creeping into her words. Is it wrong to want to reach for something that might give us a better life? Or are we meant to stay planted here, to fulfill our roles? Just then, a voice rang out from the back. It's not wrong, Jamie. It's brave. It was Jacob, a young mechanic who had once found his own path out of town, yet still returned to help whenever he could. His encouragement seemed to release a locked door in Jamie's heart. Brave, she echoed, tasting the word as if it was foreign but delectable. But what if my bravery pulls me away from you all? What if I become lost in the concrete jungle? And what if you shine brighter there? Another voice chimed in. Your shine could light the way for others. Renewed murmurs rolled through the hall, a shared understanding growing stronger. It wasn't just about her decision, it was about the lessons learned from Neanderthals, whose lives had thrived through connection and sacrifice. Jamie could be both the devoted mother and the aspirant. As the energy shifted, she spotted Ethan's bright eyes, filled with pride and confusion, reflecting the vaulted ceiling high above them. Do you want to be brave, Mommy? He asked, his small voice cutting through her swirling thoughts. The question struck Jamie like a bolt of lightning. Would she harness that bravery for her own aspirations, for his future? Yes, sweetheart. I want to be brave. Her voice faded, trailing off into uncertainty. Noticing the hope brewing in the crowd, she lifted her chin. Perhaps bravery means carving a path that honors where you came from while reaching for something greater. The applause erupted like a firework display, but beneath the raucous cheers was an undercurrent of tension. Could a mother like her truly walk that line? With every clap echoing in the hall, Jamie felt the weight of her community behind her, yet the challenge ahead loomed larger than life. As the meeting concluded, Jamie found herself engulfed in conversations, questions swirling around her. Each engagement tugged at something deep inside her, a calling to discover her authentic self and, more importantly, to redefine what home truly meant. That night, as she tucked Ethan into bed, his sleepy expressions full of trust, she whispered, "We'll figure it out together." But in the depths of her heart, doubt loomed like a shadow, teasing her with unanswered questions. As she turned off the light and stepped into the darkness, the truth lingered. Her courageous leap into the unknown could change everything. How far was she willing to go to transform the future for both herself and Ethan? The next morning, the sun poured through the kitchen window, illuminating the scattered toys and crayon drawings that had become a familiar part of Jamie's home. Ethan sat at the table, his bowl of cereal slowly turning soggy as he doodled. She poured herself a cup of coffee, savoring the warmth as she wrestled with the thoughts swirling in her mind. After her heartfelt speech, she had dreamed of clarity, of navigating through the hazy fog of her feelings. Instead, uncertainty clung to her like a stubborn shadow. Did bravery mean leaving everything she loved behind? Or was it about finding a way to embrace both? Mommy? Ethan's voice cut through her thoughts. Are you okay? The innocence in his eyes struck Jamie, and she knelt beside him, bracing against the table. Yeah, honey. Just thinking. What are you thinking about? He asked, wide-eyed and curious. She hesitated, weighing the balance of honesty and protection. I'm figuring out some big decisions. You know, about what might be good for us. Ethan chewed his bottom lip. Is it the job in the city? His directness made Jamie smile despite her emotional turbulence. Yes. It's a big chance, and it's really exciting, but it's also a little scary. Scary like the monsters under my bed? He asked, his voice half serious, half playful. Exactly. She exclaimed, thankful for his light-hearted understanding. But you know what? Sometimes we have to face those monsters to find out they weren't so scary after all. Ethan thought for a moment, then said, Can I come with you? I'm not scared of monsters. Her heart swelled. Of course, we'll face everything together. As the day unfolded, the tension ebbed a bit, but the questions didn't stop swirling in her head. Should she visit the downtown area soon after? Experience the pulse of a life that felt so far removed from the familiarity of her town? With each ticking hour, Jamie felt a call to explore, to understand where she truly belonged. By noon, she decided to take a small venture to the town library. As she entered, she was greeted by the warm, woodsy smell of old books and the friendly face of Mrs. Warner, the librarian. "Jamie, dear. It's good to see you. How are you today?" Mrs. Warner's kindness melted some anxiety away. "I'm, well, just figuring some things out. Maybe getting a little lost in my thoughts." "Good luck with that," Mrs. Warner said, a knowing twinkle in her eye. "You know where to find the answers." While exploring the aisles, Jamie let her fingers glide along the spines of the book, stories of brave souls, heart-wrenching love, and adventure. She picked up a travel guide for the city, feeling the pages call to her with dreams of discovery and potential. As she browsed, her phone buzzed in her pocket, snapping her back to reality. It was a text from Jacob. "Jamie, we're meeting up tonight to discuss the future of the community. You should come. Your voice matters." Her heart raced. She had just found the spark of inspiration she needed, but now the community was calling her back. Would her decision feel lighter, or would it deepen her doubts? As the sun began to set behind the library, illuminating the world in gentle hues of orange, she realized the choice ahead of her wasn't just about pursuing a job. It was about embracing who she was: a woman, a mother, and a part of this community. As she stood there lost in thought, she felt the weight of that decision pull at her heart. Would she attend the meeting tonight or take the plunge into the unknown? Suddenly, the library's door opened, and in walked someone she hadn't expected to see: Ethan's father, Mark. She hadn't seen him in years, and 1,000 questions zipped through her mind at once. How would this encounter change everything? Jamie's breath caught in her throat as Mark strode through the library's door, tall and more rugged than she remembered. The years had changed him, but the familiar sweep of his dark hair and the intense gaze of his eyes brought back a rush of memories, some sweet, some bittersweet. "Jamie?" His voice sounded both astonished and cautious, like he wasn't sure how to bridge the gap of time between them. "Mark," she managed, her heart racing. It felt strange to see him again, a wave of nostalgia washing over her along with the weight of unresolved feelings. The last time they'd spoken, life had been different. They had been different. "I didn't expect to see you here." I thought. He trailed off, perhaps unsure of whether to reveal his thoughts. "I know. It's been a long time." She allowed herself a small smile, but the warmth didn't fully reach her eyes. They had once shared dreams of being a family, dreams that had withered away under the strain of too many what-ifs and a stubborn sense of pride. "I was just passing through." He gestured awkwardly toward the stacks of books. "I wanted to pick up some old favorites. You know, for old times' sake." Old times. The phrase felt heavy and full of longing. She shifted her weight, feeling the floor beneath her tilt uncertainly. "It's good to see you." The words felt insubstantial, like paper cutouts of a conversation they should have had years ago. Ethan's groan. "I saw him at the park a few weeks ago." There was a slight tremor in his voice now, hinting at the connection he longed to reclaim. "Yes, he is," Jamie replied, a protective instinct rising within her. "He's really into building things and drawing lately." Mark's eyes softened, and she could see how much he cared. "That's great. He gets that creativity from you." Silence fell between them, a silence filled with ghosts of shared laughter, arguments, and the pain of parting. It was a silence that spoke of unfulfilled promises, but it also crackled with the potential for something more. "Are you back for good?" Mark asked, his voice laced with an unsteady hope. I'm figuring that out." She could feel her pulse quicken at the implications of her answer. "I have some big choices to make." "Like what?" He stepped a little closer, curiosity mixed with concern in his eyes, Jamie hesitated, torn between the urge to unburden her heart and the need to maintain her distance. "I've got an opportunity in the city, a job offer." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with expectation. A job offer? His brow furrowed. In the city? That's wow. That's huge. Yeah, she murmured, her mind racing. Would sharing her dreams bring them closer, or would it only reveal the chasm that had developed over the years? "I have to decide soon. Tonight, actually. There's a meeting about the community that I need to attend." Mark shifted, their eyes locking for the briefest of moments. "Maybe I could join you. If you want." His suggestion surprised her. They had never had a casual history, always tinged with complexity. But now, standing there amidst the books and secrets, she could feel the gravity of old emotions swirling again. "I don't know." Jamie took a breath, the possibilities swirling in her mind. Could this meeting be about more than just the community? Could it be about them too, stumbling toward a second chance? Before she could answer, Ethan's familiar voice drifted through the library, playful and innocent. "Mommy, I found a book about dinosaurs." Jamie smiled, the weight of her decisions leaving room for warmth and joy. She turned back to Mark, caught between her past and this new chapter unfolding before her. "Maybe," she finally said, a spark of determination igniting within her. "Let us see where the night leads us." As they walked towards the exit, Jamie's heart raced. The crossroads in her life loomed ahead, each path filled with promise and uncertainty. What awaited her in that meeting, and would the choices made tonight seal the direction of her future forever? The sun hung low in the sky as they stepped outside, bathing the library's steps in a soft golden light. Ethan bounced ahead, his tiny feet pattering against the pavement, oblivious to the tension simmering between his mother and Mark. Jamie watched him, a rush of affection swelling in her chest. He was her heart, the very center of her universe. Yet, the sight of Mark made her heart flutter in a way that both thrilled and terrified her. "I forgot how it feels to just stand here with you," Mark said, breaking into her thoughts. His expression was a mix of wistfulness and hope, as if he were unearthing buried memories too fragile to touch. "You haven't changed much, really." She smirked lightly. "Except for a few gray hairs and a lot more responsibility." He chuckled, a sound so familiar she could almost taste it. It brought her back to nights spent talking endlessly about dreams and futures, plans that had felt so certain at the time. "Ethan looks just like you," he continued, his gaze tracking their son. "He must be so proud of his little dino book." "Yeah, dinosaurs are his latest obsession," Jamie replied, trying to keep the conversation light, yet feeling the weight of his words. "He is so curious about everything. I wish I had his zest for life." "You're doing great, Jamie," Mark said, his voice low but steady, brushing against the insecurities that clung to her. "Being a single parent isn't easy." She felt a lump rise in her throat but managed to respond. "I've had to be strong. But it gets lonely sometimes." Their eyes met again, this time longer, filled with unspoken words and echoes of a shared past. Jamie's heart thudded under the weight of all the things left unsaid. "Maybe." Mark hesitated, glancing at Ethan, then back at Jamie. "Maybe I can help with that. I mean, if you need anything." His offer hung there, ethereal yet heavy. She imagined what it would be like to have him back in her life, but the voice of caution chimed louder. Could she risk opening that door again? Despite the warmth and familiarity, the reality of their history loomed large. "Can we really go back to that?" she asked, almost as a whisper, feeling vulnerable and hopeful all at once. "Maybe we don't have to go back," he suggested. "Maybe it can just be now. Just figuring things out together, like we used to." Jamie's heart raced at the suggestion. Could they redefine their relationship? There was no denying the connection still thrummed between them, like a chord lightly struck, sending vibrations through time. Why did we let it slip away? Her voice was barely above a whisper, but the question echoed loudly in her mind. Mark seemed to sit with that thought, absorbing it as they continued walking, Ethan skipping ahead, his laughter ringing out like a bell. People grow apart, Jamie, Mark said thoughtfully. But it doesn't mean they can't find their way back. Sometimes it just takes a little time and a little courage. They arrived at the community meeting venue, and Jamie felt drawn into an invisible force of warmth and anxiety. Her pulse quickened at the sight of familiar faces. People who had been part of her life, who had seen Ethan grow. But within the comfort, remnants of panic twisted in her stomach. "Ready?" Mark asked, tilting his head slightly. "Ready as I'll ever be," she replied, taking a deep breath as she stepped forward. As they entered, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Yet amidst the chatter and camaraderie, Jamie felt a twinge of uncertainty. Would this meeting change everything? Would it forge a new path or deepen the chasm she feared, and more importantly, as she cast a quick glance at Mark, could she dare to unravel the complexities of their story without ending up heartbroken again? Tonight held the promise of revelation, but also the fear of what truths might emerge. Jamie squared her shoulders, willing herself forward into the unknown. What awaited them behind those doors, and would they emerge together or apart? The moment Jamie stepped inside, the chatter enveloped her like a warm blanket, both comforting and suffocating. It took a second for her eyes to adjust to the bustling scene. The brightly colored banners hung along the walls proclaimed upcoming events, while children dashed around searching for familiar faces among the adults. "What a crowd," Mark said, his tone a mix of awe and nostalgia. "Yeah, feels like a lifetime ago," Jamie murmured, spotting some old friends who had given her support during the toughest nights. Forcing a smile, she waved at Maria, who beamed back, her silver hair sparkling under the fluorescent lights. "Should we mingle?" Mark asked, glancing around with a nervous energy. "Sure," she said, trying to conceal her growing anxiety. "Let us see if Ethan can tear himself away from those crafts." As they approached the crafts table, Ethan's eyes sparkled with excitement. There he was, plaster-covered fingers in the midst of creating something magnificent, very much a miniature version of Jamie filled with passion and unrestrained creativity. "Mom! Look! I'm making a dinosaur castle!" he shouted, his smile wide enough to light up the dimly lit room. "That's amazing, buddy!" Jamie exclaimed, crouching beside him. The pure joy on his face, combined with Mark's renewed presence, created an electric sense of hope mixed with fear. "Remember when we built that fort out of blankets?" Mark interjected, kneeling down to Ethan's level. "We thought we could keep out the monsters." Ethan's eyes widened. "Really? Did it work?" "Not at all," Mark chuckled, "but we made some great memories, didn't we?" The three of them laughed together, and for a moment, Jamie wished she could freeze the moment. The laughter felt honest and innocent, reminiscent of those late summer nights when everything felt possible, but as that fleeting warmth settled in, a gnawing worry crept through her. Was this just a moment? Would it fade like the echo of laughter in an empty room? The meeting commenced, and as familiar faces gathered to share their stories, Jamie shifted her focus. Voices rose and fell, tales of resilience flickering like flames from the candles set on folding tables. Yet she felt more like an observer, perched on the edge of someone else's world. Ethan tugged at her sleeve, his eyes alight with curiosity. "Mom, can I ask a question?" "Of course, sweetheart," she replied, her attention snapping back. "Why do they talk about tough stuff? Shouldn't it be about happy things?" Tears pricked her eyes at his innocent question. "Sometimes, knowing about the tough things makes the happy times even better. It's about understanding each other." He scrunched his nose, clearly still unsure. "Life is a mix, buddy," Mark chimed in, placing a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder. "The good and the bad shapes us. It helps us grow." Jamie felt a rush of gratitude for Mark's words, resonating deeply within her. Could this journey they were on together lead to more than just memories of the past? Could they be building a new foundation? As the meeting drew to a close, Jamie felt a mingling of dread and hope. She caught the eye of someone she desperately wanted to speak with. It was Lisa, a friend who had always been a voice of reason. But before she could make her way over, Mark placed a tentative hand on her arm. "Jamie, can we talk? Just for a sec." Heart racing, she looked up into his eyes, gauging the weight of his expression. "Of course," she replied, feeling the tension crescendo within her. He led her to a quieter corner, out of sight but not out of earshot. "I know this is a lot," but Mark began, his voice lowering to a near whisper. "What if we start fresh? No expectations, just see where it takes us." Jamie's breath caught in her throat. His words stirred something within her she thought she had buried long ago. Hope, fear, uncertainty all wrapped together, creating a dizzying blend of emotion. As she searched for the right words, she caught a glimpse of Ethan laughing across the room, the way he was so effortlessly engaged in life. "Can we really start fresh?" she asked hesitantly. Her voice barely above a whisper. "Why not?" Mark said, his smile softening the edges of her worry. "We owe it to ourselves and to him." But the question hung heavy in the air. Were they truly standing at the brink of something new, and could they navigate the challenges that lay ahead? As the evening drew to a close, Jamie felt both light and heavy. Just outside the meeting venue, new possibilities danced before her like shimmering lights, but the shadows of their past loomed. Would they be brave enough to step into the light together, or would history repeat itself, leaving them weary and apart? Jamie took a deep breath, pulling herself out of the whirlwind of emotions swirling around her. The air felt electric with potential, but the weight of uncertainty pinned her in place. She forced her gaze back to Mark, whose hopeful expression stirred something in her heart, yet reality held her tight with its fraying threads. "What do you mean, start fresh?" she pressed, her voice trembling slightly. It felt daunting, this idea of rebuilding something that had once felt so fragile. Mark's eyes softened, his brow furrowing as he took a step closer. "I mean just us. No looking back. We create our own story from here." Her mind raced. Could that truly be possible? A canvas spread wide before them, filled with promise yet marred by past missteps. The thought sent a thrill down her spine, battling with the fear of failure. "I don't know, Mark. What if we fail again?" She couldn't ignore the flicker of doubt that burned in her chest. He took hold of her hands, grounding her. "But what if we don't? What if we can be stronger together this time? For Ethan, for us." Ethan, with his plaster-covered fingers and boundless energy. He deserved a family full of joy, not one haunted by silence and past mistakes. The boy was their beacon, a constant reminder of love buried under years of heartache. Jamie could feel hope constricting her heart, squeezing harder like a hand around her throat. She shifted slightly, glancing at Ethan. He was busy constructing his castle, lost in his own world of creativity, laughter spilling out of him so naturally. The sight melted her worries momentarily, igniting a flicker of courage. "Maybe," she started, her voice steadier now. "Maybe we can try together. Just take it slow." Mark nodded, a smile breaking across his face that felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Slow is good. We've got time, remember?" It was a promise, a lifeline thrown out into the swirling chaos. As she stood there, she felt a wave of relief wash over her, the kind you experience after holding your breath for too long. The idea of forging a new path together filled her with something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. Mark squeezed her hands before releasing them, the physical touch sparking a connection that momentarily chased away the shadows. "Let's talk to Lisa," he suggested, nodding towards the other side of the room where Jamie's friends stood chatting. "Oh, there she is. I really want to catch up," Jamie admitted, watching Lisa laugh easily with another familiar face. Her heart swelled at the thought of sharing this new chapter, yet a twinge of fear gnawed at her. What would Lisa think? Would she see the cracks in Jamie's heart, the fears and wounds that hadn't completely healed? "See Mon," Mark gently urged, guiding her forward. "You got this." They walked toward Lisa, and the moment felt surreal. Each step was a step into the unknown, a leap away from the past. As they approached, Jamie felt the familiar warmth radiating from Lisa's kind eyes, which soon trained on the pair. "Hey, you two," she greeted enthusiastically. "You guys look like you're up to something." "Actually, we are," Mark started, but the words caught in Jamie's throat. Could she articulate this? What if Lisa didn't approve? A mix of excitement and apprehension bubbled within her, tightening her chest. Jamie took a breath to steady herself, but the moment hung heavily in the air. And just then, from behind her, a loud crash rang out, followed by gasps and scattered laughter. It startled Jamie, breaking the moment into chaos. Ethan stood, wide-eyed and frozen, plaster kit sprawled across the floor alongside the remains of his dinosaur castle. Jamie's heartbeat quickened. "Ethan!" she exclaimed, rushing to his side, only to see the mix of shock and delight adorning his face. Other children surrounded him, bursting into giggles at the sight. In that instant, she saw it clearly. Life was inherently unpredictable, messy, and full of surprises, just like their journey ahead. "Look, we all mess things up sometimes," Mark said, kneeling beside Ethan. "But that's how we learn, right?" The simplicity of his words felt huge. The potential of starting over was more than just about them, it was a lesson for Ethan too. As laughter floated through the air, Jamie felt something shift inside her. It wasn't just about hope anymore, it was about embracing the chaos, the highs and lows, the moments that made up life. But before she could express this revelation, a loud voice broke through the laughter, drawing her attention. "Did you hear that? It's happening tonight." Jamie's heart raced at the glimpse of yet another unknown. "What's happening?" she asked, drawn into the unfolding mystery. And as the answers swirled in the air, Jamie felt that thrilling mix of dread and excitement come rushing back. What were they stepping into? Would it be something that would strengthen their bond or tear them apart anew? "It's the end of summer celebration at the park," a child squealed, pulling at Jamie's dress as if it had suddenly changed everything. "There'll be games, food, and fireworks." "Fireworks?" Jamie echoed, feeling a rush of excitement mixed with nervousness. The idea of being part of a community event felt both thrilling and terrifying. What if something went wrong? What if they didn't fit in like they used to? Before she could voice her hesitation, Mark's face lit up. "That sounds perfect. It'll be a great way for us to reconnect, for Ethan to have fun. Plus, we could use a night under the stars." Jamie glanced down at Ethan, still mesmerized by the remnants of his shattered castle, his laughter infectious as other kids joined him on the floor. Would this event bring them the connection they needed? She took a deep breath, a rush of warmth washing over her at the thought of sharing moments with Mark and Ethan, creating new memories. "Okay, let us do it. But we'll take it step by step, right?" "Absolutely," Mark replied, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Just imagine, Ethan," Jamie said, leaning down to meet her son's gaze, "there'll be games with prizes and maybe even a petting zoo. We'll have a blast." Her heart raced as she spoke, the spark of hope glowing stronger with each word. Ethan's smile widened, and for a moment, Jamie felt the weight of uncertainty lift slightly. They could still have good things, even amidst the mess. As they began making plans, Jamie felt a pressure growing in her chest. It was the fear of exposure, the very idea of stepping back into a communal space, vulnerable and open, with the possibility of the past lurking around every corner. In that moment, doubts pushed up against her joy. What if people judge us? What if they remember? Mark leaned closer. "We're changing, Jamie. It's okay if some people don't get it. What matters is how we see ourselves moving forward." His words seeped into her, calming and grounding her thoughts. They were in this together, ready to face whatever awaited them. Quiet encouragement flowed between them, more telling than any words could convey. "And if we do it as a family," he added, "it'll make it even better." Ethan glanced up at them, eyes wide with energy. "Can I have a big sparkler?" he asked, brimming with excitement. Of course. Just remember to hold it away from your face, Jamie replied, laughter escaping her lips at his enthusiasm. It felt good to be bouncing around ideas like this, to be talking about possibilities instead of barricading herself behind fears. As the trio laughed and plotted the evening, Lisa appeared again, her inquisitive eyes darting between them. So, what's this about a summer celebration? You guys are in, aren't you? Jamie exchanged an uncertain glance with Mark, but the encouragement radiating from him reassured her. Yeah, we're going. We thought it'd be a good chance for all of us to get out and connect. Lisa's smile blossomed and Jamie noticed a warmth in her friend's gaze, free of judgment and full of joy. That's wonderful. I'll see you there then. As they finalized their plans, a sense of anticipation danced in the air. Colors buzzed around them, yellows and oranges, laughter and shouts infusing Jamie with a feeling she hadn't experienced in quite some time. But when Mark suddenly shifted beside her, furrowing his brow, Jamie's excitement faltered. What's wrong? She asked, sensing the mood change. I was just thinking. Maybe we should prep Ethan for. He hesitated, words stuck in his throat, but Jamie could feel the heaviness of unspoken truths looming. For what? Jamie pressed gently, knowing they couldn't sidestep fear forever. Mark shot her a glance filled with complexity, a mix of concern for Ethan and an acknowledgement of the journey ahead. You know, sometimes celebrations are harder than they seem. People talk. Jamie's heart dropped. Suddenly, the idea of laughter and lights began to feel suffocating. She clenched her fists, the weight of the moment settling over them. Would this serve as a moment of healing or a reminder of their flaws? As the shadows crept in, she faced the reality of the night ahead. A blend of hope and dread clashed within her. Would they be ready for what lay ahead? And just like that, the need to confront their past brushed against the backdrop of uncertainty. Would this celebration be a step forward, or would it plunge them back into what they had thought was behind them? The choices loomed just ahead, unyielding and unwritten. The sun began its descent, casting a golden hue over the park as the evening approached. Excitement buzzed like electricity in the air, mingling with the scent of buttery popcorn and grilled burgers wafting from nearby vendors. Jamie, Mark, and Ethan exited their car, the sounds of laughter and distant music providing a symphony to accompany their hesitant steps. Look, Mom! There are so many people! Ethan exclaimed, his eyes wide as he hopped from one foot to the other, eager as a puppy. That's right. And look over there. Jamie nudged her son playfully, pointing to the inflatable bounce house that towered joyfully against the twilight sky. Mark smiled, but Jamie noticed the tension still simmering beneath the surface. He held her hand a little tighter, as if holding on might shield them from judgment. Let's dive in, okay? One step at a time, he murmured, wearing an encouraging smile. As they walked deeper into the celebration, familiar faces emerged. Men and women from their past waved, each greeting loaded with echoes of the life they once had. Jamie's heart raced, she recognized a few acquaintances who had once circled her growing insecurities. They shared mutual friends, once inseparable, now disconnected. Could they really face them? Look at that! Ethan shouted, pulling Jamie's attention toward a game booth. Can I try? Please. His joy was contagious, sunlight breaking through her cloud of doubt. Okay, let's do it, Jamie replied, trying to hide the tremor in her voice. They veered towards the booth where kids were lining up to throw rings over bottles. Each ring tossed seemed to encapsulate her emotions. Some went wide, hitting nothing, and others landed perfectly, echoing fleeting triumphs. She watched as Mark lifted Ethan into his arms, their laughter mixing with others, a melody weaving through the fading daylight. Look, Daddy! I did it! Ethan squealed, tossing a ring expertly onto a bottle. Jamie felt a swell of pride, but it was bittersweet, a reminder of moments when that joy had been overshadowed. See? You're a natural. Just like your old man, Mark laughed in response, and Jamie felt that familiar warmth envelop her, pushing back against the doubts. "Can we go for ice cream next?" Ethan asked, his cheeks flushed from excitement. "Of course. You earned it, champ," Mark responded, exhilaration etched on his face. But as Jamie caught glimpses of the surrounding crowd, she could sense their stares, their whispers. The news of their past had traveled faster than she could have prepared for. Suddenly, she noticed a group of women glancing her way, whispers erupting in snickers, her stomach twisted as memories of judgment crowded in. It felt as if the very air around her grew thick with expectations and scrutiny. What were they saying? Did they recognize her? "Jamie?" A voice called, breaking through her fog of worry. It was Lisa, making her way over with an open smile. "You made it. I'm so glad to see you." With relief, Jamie turned towards her friend, forcing a smile. "Hey. Yeah, we thought it would be fun." Lisa's gaze moved to Mark and Ethan, a warmth there that made Jamie relax just slightly. "You guys look great. Here, come meet some of my friends." As Lisa led them through the sea of activity, Jamie felt paralysis edging back in. What if Lisa's friends shared the same look of judgment? But Mark squeezed her hand once more, a silent promise of support, then it hit her, an unexpected realization as she heard laughter, lively chatter, and music resonating around them. Amidst the uncertainty, there was beauty too, a chance to embrace connection, not just with people but also with their own transformed selves. Ethan tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, can I go try again?" "Sure, sweetie." She answered, her heart beating fast with renewed hope, watching her son run ahead. As the evening stretched onwards, Jamie felt a tentative ease washing over her, reminding her that despite fears, moments of pure joy were possible. Perhaps they could navigate this swirling sea of uncertainty together, but just as she dared to hope, a fleeting shadow drifted into her thoughts, a fear of past mistakes looming ever closer. What if they could never escape their history? Would the past define them forever? Mark leaned closer, whispering, "Whatever happens, we're in this together." Before it fully registered, the first crack of fireworks lit up the night sky. Gasps echoed, followed by cheers that filled the air. A burst of color against the darkness was mesmerizing, but Jamie's gaze turned inward, battling conflicting feelings. As explosions of light danced above, Jamie grappled with a question that would shape their night. Was she ready to embrace the future, no matter how bright or dark? The vibrant celebration pulsed around them, a moment of possibility ripe with emotion. Would this be the night they embraced their new selves, or would shadows continue to linger? The answer remained just out of reach. The fireworks sputtered and crackled overhead, painting the night sky with brilliant bursts of color. Each explosion brought a new wave of cheer from the crowd, wrapping Jamie in a blanket of communal joy. Yet, beneath the surface of excitement, a current of uncertainty tugged at her heart. How could she step fully into this moment when memories of past failures echoed in her mind? Ethan's laughter rang out, pure and unfiltered, drowning out her reservations. He dashed from booth to booth, clutching an oversized ice cream cone, delight radiating from him. It struck Jamie how much her son deserved this joy, a life rich with moments that shone brighter than any memory of pain. A gentle squeeze on her hand drew her back from her thoughts. Mark stood beside her, his eyes reflecting the kaleidoscope of fireworks. "Look at him," he said, his voice warm. "He is so happy." "He is," Jamie agreed, feeling a swell of pride. She looked at Mark, and in that glance, a shared understanding blossomed. They both wanted this for Ethan, to forge a life forward filled with light instead of shadows. "Maybe tonight we make a new memory," Mark suggested, his expression earnest. The sincerity in his eyes made her heart flutter. That lingering hesitation, that fear of slipping back into old patterns, tugged at her. But what was the alternative? To let fear dictate their choices and hold them back? As another wave of cheers erupted from the crowd, Jamie took a deep breath. It was time to break free of that mental cage. "You're right," she answered, her voice steady. "Let us make this count." With that resolve, Jamie slipped her hand into Mark's and led him through the crowd. As they made their way toward Ethan, an intoxicating sense of possibility washed over her. Every step felt like a declaration, an affirmation that the future held promise, not just for her, but for all of them. "Mommy! Look!" Ethan spun around, pointing toward a booth where kids were crafting colorful starry sky paintings. "Can we please?" His eyes sparkled with excitement, and Jamie couldn't refuse. "Absolutely. Let us get you started," she replied, bending down to his level. Mark's hand found her back, a warm encouragement as they joined Ethan by the booth. Jamie felt her anxiety melt away as she dipped her brush into vibrant colors. Together, they painted their own stars, each flick of the brush a testament to their resilience. The laughter and camaraderie filled the air, each moment a gentle reminder of love outweighing worry. With each stroke, every gentle tease exchanged with Ethan and Mark, the past faded further. She caught sight of Lisa again, waving her way, entire groups of smiling faces behind her. As they approached, Jamie's heartbeat quickened, not in fear, but rather in anticipation. Perhaps it was time to no longer hide behind insecurities, but instead, embrace who she had become. "Hey, you guys made it. That looks amazing." Lisa beamed, her eyes lighting on the colorful canvas. Behind her, the crowd ebbed and flowed, mirroring the pulse of community, a community that welcomed all, flaws and all. Jamie met Lisa's gaze, feeling unburdened by judgment. "We're trying to turn the page," she admitted, a genuine smile breaking through. Mark stepped forward, adding, "Together." The unity of those simple words pierced through the noise in Jamie's heart, feeling them resonate in the depths of her soul. "There's a strength in that," Lisa said, her voice soft yet firm. "No one's perfect, Jamie. And I think everyone sees how hard you fought for this." Jamie felt gratitude swell within her, like the fireworks scattering above, their exuberance lifting her spirit higher. The celebration truly embodied what it meant to live through chaos and uncertainty. They were all there, fighting their battles in their own ways. With new conviction, Jamie raised both hands into the darkened sky, letting the light seep into her bones. "Here's to creating more moments together." The words flowed effortlessly into the night, merging with the crackling sparks above. "Together," echoed Mark and Ethan in unison, joining her in. Raising their hands aloft, unbound by the weight of their past, and as the final firework lit up the canvas of night, painting a lasting image of beauty and hope, Jamie knew she was ready. Ready to embrace love, community, and a brighter future. This was their moment. This was just the beginning. That if you're feeling inspired by Jamie's journey and the transformation she embraced, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on next week's exclusive stories that will keep your heart racing. Leave a like now to show your support and help spread the love. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, your thoughts truly matter. And finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the joy and hope.